are getting in here early to get the work done. So let's get started on this. So we are doing Chapter 7 review today. So hopefully with these, to do these, it's multiple steps, right? So it's in a quadratic. So we're going to have to factor it first, set it equal to 0, and then do zero product property. So these are the tough ones, right? So if I have x squared, I'm going to go here and have my squared term here. So if you guys don't remember, right, this is called the squared term, this is the linear term, and this is the constant. Okay, so I'm going to put the squared term here, I'm going to put the constant term down here, and then the linear term goes down here as the sum. So for the product, we're going to multiply these two together. So I'm going to have negative 15 x squared. Okay, and then I know one person got this because they sent me the answers to this. But I'm looking for two numbers that multiply. All right, two numbers that multiply to get 15, and I think there's only 3 times 5, right? But notice how it's negative, right? So one of these has to be negative. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's use the adding, right? So see how the number here is negative? That means that the bigger number has to be negative. And we can double check that out. So if I have 3 plus a negative 5, I get negative 2. Oop, went over there a little bit. Okay? So this is going to be my numbers. I'm going to have 5x and a negative 3x. Okay, some people coming in late. Okay, so these right here, I'm going to put them in these two boxes. It doesn't matter where you put them. Okay, it doesn't matter where you put them. Okay, but then what we're going to do is we're going to look at just this top row. Okay, and if I look at just this top row, I'm going to factor out the greatest common factor. So there's two x's here, right? X times x, and then there's a negative 3x here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out the x. Okay, and then once you do that, the rest is just multiplication. So I think to myself, what times x gives me x squared? I have an x. What times x gives me negative 3x? I get a negative 3. What times x gives me 5x? That's 5. And then we can double check here. Does negative 3 times 5 give me negative 15? Heck yes, it does. So what I'm going to do now, these are my factors. So I'm going to write them down here. I get x minus 3 times x plus 5 equals 0. Okay, so stage 1 is done. Stage 1 was factoring, so now we're in factored form. And what I'm going to use here is, I have two things. A times b equals 0. So I know either this has to be 0 or this has to be 0. So that's where I say x minus 3 equals 0 or x plus 5 equals 0. Oh my gosh, these are long problems, huh? So I add 3 to both sides. I subtract 5 from both sides. I get x equals 3 or x equals negative 5. So I have two answers here, two answers. Yeah. Because there's so many steps, right? So it's easy to be like, oh man, I feel good, because there will be some questions on the test where you just have to factor, right? And then there's going to be some questions on the test where you're going to have to factor and you're going to have to solve. So remembering which one, right? So that's why we really want to look at, hey, it says solve here, so I'm going to go ahead and do both of those, okay? Cool. Does anybody else have any questions? I really appreciate, a lot of people are using the private comment function to send me little messages, and that way you can ask a question by just shooting me that, and then no one has to know, and then we just kind of have our little party there. And here, I'm just going to get a calculator up so I can show you guys, make sure that you're using calculators. So something that is really cool, and I want to show you guys this, is, right, you can have Desmos calculator up if you guys need a calculator. So make sure on your computer that you can just bookmark this and always have a calculator in case you need it. And I'm just using Desmos Scientific Calculator, so it says desmos.com scientific. Okay. All right. So going back here. And Fabian and Angelica, if you guys could add your last names, I would appreciate that. All right, so again, we're going to do the same thing here. Okay, so I want to factor and solve, so I'm going to go ahead and draw the box. Okay, and I'm going to draw the x. I have my product and my sum. Okay, inside the box, right, my squared term is going to go in the upper left. My constant term is going to go down here. Okay, and my linear term is my sum, right? Because these two numbers always add up to my linear term. That's why we call it the sum. So to get my product, I'm going to multiply these two. Well, dang, it's 15 again, right? We had a lot of success with 15 over here. So let's see. Multiplying, I got 3 times 5. I got 15 times 1. Okay. So let's see here. To get negative 8, ooh, they have to add the negative. So that would mean both of these have to be negative, right? So let's see. What's negative 3 plus negative 5? That would be negative 8. Okay, so it looks like that's going to be our answer right there. So I'm going to have negative 3x and negative 5x. You can always double check, right? It's kind of like a guess and check. Negative 3 times negative 5x is 15x squared. And if we take negative 3x plus negative 5x, we get negative 8x. Just remember, guys, when you're using the calculator, right, you just want to make sure that you're doing negative 3 plus negative 5, right? We don't add in the x, right? We just type it in, and then we add the x in after that. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add these. How are we doing so far, guys? Are we going too fast, or are we doing okay? You guys can send me a chat if I'm going too fast, or if you need me to explain something. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the comments. I know it's hard to take notes and write comments, so every once in a while when you can check in, it really helps me out a lot. Okay, so what I'm going to do on the top here, I'm going to factor out the greatest thing. There's no number here, so it's just going to be an x. Okay, and then what times x gives me x squared? Well, x times x gives me x squared. What times x gives me negative 5x? Negative 5. What times x gives me negative 3x? Negative 3. And then let's double check. Negative 3 times negative 5 is 15. These are going to be my factors. So I'm going to get x minus 3 times x minus 5 equals 0, right? See how we're keeping that, right? The 0 is still there. So right here, we're going to have a zero product property, right? So one thing, when you have two things multiplied to 0, one or both have to be 0. So I'm going to have x minus 3 equals 0, or x minus 5 equals 0. Run out of room. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides, add 5 to both sides. Okay, and then I get x equals 3. And I get x equals 5. So again, there's two answers here. Okay, so we're going to have a midterm coming up in a bit, but we're going to be doing a little bit of Chapter 8 before here. I know this stuff is difficult. I know it's a lot of work, even though you guys aren't asking any questions. I want to make sure that you guys know how to do this. Also, before I get started with the review stuff, make sure you guys are getting your homework done, right? So in Big Ideas, you have to, when you're done with the assignment, you have to click on your name and then hit submit. If it's a Desmos activity, it saves it for you, right? So your homework tonight is going to be a Big Ideas. So just make sure when you're done with your homework tonight that you click your name and you hit submit so that I can give you a grade, okay? All right. And if you guys need help, please, 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 please email me. I love to help you guys. Email me or join me for my office hours. 50 minutes twice a week is crazy, isn't it? So I expect you guys to be stuck, needing help, so make sure you guys are reaching out, okay? All right. So let's talk about review. So what I'm just going to do, we did 7.1, 7.2, 7.4, and 7.5. I'm going to go through each one and just highlight and do a couple of problems so that when you go take a look at the review, you'll be good to go, okay? So first off, what we did was 7.1, and what we talked about was adding and subtracting polynomials, So adding and subtracting polynomials, okay? So the key takeaways here were combining like terms, okay, so combining like terms, and then the other thing was if subtraction distribute the negative and change to positive. Okay. So obviously, just talking about that's not going to do it. So let's go ahead and do a couple of problems together. What I like to do, maybe in your notes you make boxes and you just like check the boxes as you're reviewing and be like, hey, can I do this stuff? Where am I getting stuck? Okay. So let's do two examples. So I'm going to do example 1. Let's say I have, let's do this one, x squared plus 6x minus 5 plus 2x squared plus 15. So we're going to go ahead and add these to polynomials. Okay. So if it's addition, these parentheses don't really mean much to us. Okay. And all we're going to do is we're going to be combining like terms. Okay. So to combine like terms, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for things that look alike. So I have an x squared. I have 2x squareds. So how many x squareds do I have? I have 3x squared. Okay. And if you think this is too much to look at, once you're done, you can just cross them off and be like, I've already added those two, right? And then it's a good way of keeping track of where you are. Then I take a look here. I have a 6x. Over here, I don't have an x term, do I? So it's just 6x. Okay. Then I have my numbers. I have negative 5 and positive 15. If I combine these, I get positive 10 because I had $15 and I got rid of 5. Okay. So there's definitely going to be one of these on our midterm. Okay, so good to practice. Okay, so that when you get to your midterm, you're going to do that problem. You're going to feel really good. Okay. Again, if I went too fast or you didn't get something, make sure you type it in the chat below. All right. Example number 2. Okay, is when we do subtraction. So I might have 2x cubed plus 6x squared minus x minus, ooh, it's a minus problem, minus negative 3x squared minus 2x squared, oh my gosh, I'm running out of room, minus 9x. Ooh. So that's a 9x. Sorry guys, I ran out of room. Here, this is what I'm going to do. 9x. Okay. That's a 9. This is a 9. 9x. Okay. So when it's subtraction, there is one more step. And that first step is we're going to distribute this negative, okay? Because a negative is going to change the sign of everything. So we're going to distribute the negative and then add. Okay? That's what we're going to do. We're going to distribute the negative and then we're going to add. Okay, so to do this, the first part staying the same. I'm going to give myself a little bit more room. 2x cubed plus 6x squared minus x. I'm going to distribute the negative. So a negative times a negative is a positive. So I get positive 3x squared. A negative times a negative is a positive. So I get positive 2x squared. And then a negative times a negative is a positive. I get positive 9x. Okay. So again, we do that and then we change it to adding. We're just going to do what we have. Okay. So now I'm going to combine like terms. Okay. So I take a look. I have a cube term. Does anything else have a 3 above it? Nope. So I'm just going to have 2x cubed. then, oh my gosh, I have a lot of squared terms. I have a 6x, a 3x, and a 2x. So 6 plus 3 is 9, 10, 11. So I'm going to have 11x squared. So I'm done with those. And then I have a negative x and a positive 9. So I'm going to have plus 8x. Okay. So with a negative, it just has that one more step, and then you go ahead and add. Okay. So hopefully you guys are doing okay there. One down, 3 more to go, right? So hopefully when you guys see this on the midterm, you're going to be like, yes, I got this. I'm going to feel good. I'm going to get these points, and just feel good about it. Okay. All right. So that's 7.1. All right, let's take a look at 7.2. My purple pen is dying a slow and painful death. So 7.2, oh, we did 7.2 and 7.3. Okay. So 7.2 and 7.3, we're both multiplying polynomials. Oops, I forgot an L in polynomials. It's right there. Okay, so we're going to be multiplying polynomials. Okay, so remember we use the box method to multiply. Okay. If you have a plus b squared, that's the same as a plus b times a plus b, right? So sometimes we had situations, right, where it said multiply, and you're like, multiply what? There's no multiplication. A squared is a shortcut for multiplication when you're multiplying by the same thing. Okay, so that's really the two things that happen in here. So we're going to do 2 examples. Okay, so let's go ahead and do example 1. How am I going? Is the pace okay? Are you guys able to take notes and keep up? Okay, some people are like, you need to go faster. All right, cool. Well, we don't need to go faster, but we certainly can if we're doing okay. So for an example, I'm going to multiply 2 things. So x plus 7 and x minus 9. Okay, so I'm going to multiply these. So to multiply, I'm going to use a box. Now remember, factoring is backwards. So in this case, I'm going to write x plus 7 out here and x minus 9 here, right? So in this warm-up, we went backwards, didn't we? And that took a lot of time. So when you're going forwards, you're just going to use the box to multiply. So I get x times x, that's x squared. Negative 9 times x is negative 9x. X times 7 is 7x. 7 times negative 9, oof. I don't know about you guys, but my 9s are kind of rough. So I'm going to go, clear. 7 times negative 9, I get negative 63. Okay, and I always like to promote using a calculator because a calculator is your best friend. Okay, so I got negative 63 right here. Then the last step, the most important step, is we're going to add all these together. So I get x squared minus 9x plus 7x minus 63. So again, I just took these out here. And then notice I can combine like terms. So I have x squared, negative 9 and 7, that's minus 2x minus 63. Okay, so hopefully you guys are doing okay there with multiplying. Okay, so again, if you're in factored form, you're multiplying, you just take the box, you multiply them out, add them together to get your Okay, example number 2. Let's say I have x minus 4 squared. Okay, so you might look at this and be like, crap, there's nothing to multiply, but we have to remember that squared just means that we're using the same term twice. Okay, so I have x minus 4, x minus 4. So this would be x squared, negative 4x, negative 4x, and positive 16. Again, you can use the calculator to help you out there. Never get arithmetic wrong. The calculator is your friend. And you're going to get a calculator on your midterm, any of the calculator on all your homework. So I'm going to add these together. I get x squared. Now I'm going to have negative 8x and positive 16. So in this case, notice how I combined them before I wrote it down. Some of you are comfortable with that, and it's a way to make it quicker. If you're not comfortable with this, make sure that you write them all out and then combine them first. Okay? So in the chat, can you guys let me know how you're feeling about this? Are we okay with multiplication? We're okay, guys, with multiplication? You guys are feeling okay? And anybody have questions? Remember, if you have a question, you can just send me a private chat, and we can go over it. All right, guys, 2 out of 4 done. We only have 2 sections left, and then if we have spare time, because we are moving pretty quickly, I would say this is pretty quick. Since we are moving pretty quickly, if you guys want, we can just do some practice problems at the end. Maybe even do some of your homework problems to make your homework easier. Okay? All right. So after multiplication came 7.4. Okay? And 7.4 was solving in factored form. And we used ZPP. ZPP, remember guys, is the zero product property. Okay. So we did a little bit of this in our warm-up, right? And so in our warm-up, once we got it to factored form, then we use zero product property. Okay, so just remember, if you have 2 things, right, equal to 0, then A equals 0 or B equals 0, right? And then factored form looks like this. So those were the 2 big things, right? Where A and B, C and D, they're just anything, right? So factored form is when you have the 2 parentheses, okay? All right, so for 7.4, we're just going to do one example. Okay, so it might say solve. There's that solve again. Solve, and then I might have x plus 6 times x minus 8 equals 0. Okay, we got to have that 0 there, right? That 0 is important because that 0 lets us do zero product property. Okay, so to do this, you're not going to, so this is why it's super important, we're not going to multiply them. So some of you might look at this and be like, ooh, make a box and multiply. Ooh, right? So this is where it starts to get confusing because earlier we just drew a box and multiplied them. But if you see this word, this is the key here, solve. If you do solve, then I'm going to do zero product property. I have A times B equals 0, right? And then, so that means that either x plus 6 equals 0 or x minus 8 equals 0. See, if you did the whole box thing here, you'd be doing way more work, right? So all we're going to do here is go ahead and solve. I like to set up both problems at once. So I subtract 6 here. I get x equals 6. I add 8 here. I get x equals 8. Okay? And if you have 2 factors, you're going to have 2 answers, right? If you had 3 factors, you had to have 3 answers, and that's how it goes, okay? All right, so what do you guys think? With 7.4, it is kind of confusing because it looks like you're going to multiply, but that's why you have to look here. It doesn't say multiply, it says solve. And when we solve, we can use zero product property if it's multiplication and 0, okay? So really check this out. It didn't say multiply, it said solve. Would you guys, I can't tell, there's no timestamp. Oh, there is a timestamp. Do you guys want me to do another example of this, or do you want me to move on? Okay, are you guys there? Hey, what's up, class? Guys, talk to me. Don't leave me hanging. Do you guys want me to do another example of this, or move on? I need more responses. I need more responses. Okay, I'm going to do one more. Okay, so let's do, because this is going to be on your midterm, so I want to make sure you guys get some good practice with this. So I'm going to say solve. Okay, so we're not going to multiply. I'm going to say solve. I'm going to have 2x minus 4, and I'm going to have 1/2 x plus 6 equals 0. Okay? Now, you might be like, oh, crap, you made it harder. Oh, am I here? I'm here. Sorry, my wife is also on a Zoom call, a Zoom meeting. Holy crap. Oops, excuse my language. You're right, this would be -6. Sorry, I subtracted 6. Sorry, guys, I made a mistake. I make mistakes too. So I dropped the negative, which is why you guys get checks on your homework, right? Because sometimes we make a silly mistake. Yeah, it's -6. I subtracted 6. It'd be -6. Thank you for pointing that out to me. I really appreciate it, guys. I'm sorry, that was my mistake. Because it was -6 here, so it'd be -6. Okay? All right. So here, okay, zero product property again. I have something times something equals 0. Okay, so that means I'm going to have 2x minus 4 equals 0, or 1/2 x plus 6 equals 0. So how am I going to go ahead and solve this? Well, let's do one at a time. I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Okay, so what am I left with? I'm left with 2x equals 4. Then it's 2 times 4, so I'm going to undo multiplication by dividing, so I get x equals 2. Okay, that's one of my answers. Now over here, I'm going to start by subtracting 6. So I get 1/2 x equals -6. I'm not going to lose that negative this time. Okay, and then 1/2 times x. So there's 2 things you can do here, and both are totally fine. You can see it's 1/2 times x. We can divide both sides by 1/2. Okay, and if you have a graphing calculator, okay, that's really easy to do. So I can go -6 divided by, and then I hit the fraction button. I can go 1, 2. Now it doesn't look pretty, but look, the answer is -12. So again, don't be afraid of fractions. Okay, don't be afraid of fractions because the calculator will do it for you. So I could go ahead and divide both sides by 1/2, or what's the opposite of half? Isn't the opposite of half double? So if the opposite of half is double, I could just double both sides, and I get x equals -12, which is exactly the answer that my calculator gave me. So you can use either way. It's totally up to you. Okay? So hopefully that extra example helped, right? If it says solve, you're in factored form and it's equal to 0, you just separate it out into a couple of different problems. So I hope you guys are doing okay. And I really appreciate to the people who are like, yeah, I need some extra help. I really appreciate that. Okay? All right. So 3 down, 1 to go. We got time. We got so much time. Okay? We're swimming in time. Well, it's better to swim in time than be outside right now. If I was outside, I would be swimming in rain. Okay? So the last thing we did is what our warm-up was on. Okay? So our warm-up was factoring and then solving. Okay? So this was what we did in the warm-up. Okay? Here, and I can do that. Warm up problems. Okay? Because that, ooh, and do you guys like my fake wood? It's very nice, huh? Very nice. Very nice fake wood. It has nice fake lines in it. Ooh. It's just, you know, quality stuff. Quality fakeness. Okay? So we're going to do factoring and then solving. So we have to remember with factoring and then solving, okay? So first step, use the box and x, so that's this, to factor the polynomial. Okay? And then second, use zero product property to solve. Okay? So there's 2 steps into this, right? There's use the box and the x, and then using zero product property. Okay? And that's what makes this difficult, because you guys totally can do the box, right? You guys can totally do zero product property. But when you put them together, it's just so many small steps that you can feel overwhelmed because it just looks like too much, or you can just make really silly mistakes and then you get frustrated. And when you get frustrated and your brain starts shutting down, then you're just going to make more mistakes, okay? So we have to avoid that. So let's go ahead and let's do some examples, okay? How about this? In chat, can you guys, I know some of you guys didn't get here in time to do the warm-up. So do you guys, so we're going to say solve. We're going to say solve x squared plus 6x minus 27. Do you guys want to do this on your own or together? Can I just get some answers in the chat? So on our own or together? So we're either going to do this together, you're going to watch me do it and do it with me, or you're going to try it on your own. What do you guys want to do? Okay, so I got a few people saying on their own. No one else wants input? All right, we're going to try it on our own because no one else said anything. So I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes to do this. Okay. So now remember, if you need a hint, there's your hint. Remember, if you guys are stuck, you can ask me a question in chat. Someone left. It's unfortunate. Okay. Was that enough time, guys? Do you guys need more time? Can you guys let me know if you need more time? Okay. We're going to give a little bit more time. What are you thinking? 1 minute or 2 minutes? Okay. You got it. I just went ahead and started setting things up in case people are stuck. Nice. So some of you guys are finishing up. That's good. Sweet. Okay, so the people who asked for extra time said they're done. So I'm just going to move ahead. Okay, so taking a look at this, so hopefully we got this down because I wrote it down. So we're looking for two things that multiply to negative 27. Oh my gosh, 27. So let's think here. Well, the easy one is 27 and 1, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get to 6 there. 27. 9 and 3. 9 times 3. It took me a while. I was like, well, I know 3 times 7 is 21, and then I just kept going up. All right, so 9 times 3 is 27. It's negative, isn't it? So that means one of these has to be negative. Well, if one of them has to be negative, check it out. See how this number is positive? That means the bigger number has to be positive. And you can double check that. 9 plus negative 3 equals 6. Okay? So it's going to be 9 and 3. So I'm going to have 9x and negative 3x. Hey, I'm going to hit pause there because I know some people just like have the darndest time with doing this. How are you guys doing with this? Are you guys doing okay? Like, I struggled a little bit to think of 9 times 3. You guys doing okay with this? Did you guys see how I figured out one of them had to be negative? I mean, I'm okay with this too. Sometimes I really struggle. Sometimes I get a problem and the numbers are just like, oh, you know, and it takes me a while to do this and I really have to guess and check, and that's okay. All right, so I just want you guys to know, and it's hard because you don't have your classmates with you to see, like, am I the only one struggling with this? This is where I get stuck when I do these, okay? So, right, that's what we found. This is our little mini game. So I'm going to go over here. I get 9x and I get negative 3x, okay? And again, it doesn't matter where you put these. I can easily switch these and you'd be just fine, okay? So if I cover up the bottom, so there's no number here, so I just have an x in common. And then x times x is x squared, so these are both x. And then negative 3 times x gives me negative 3x. And then what times x gives me 9x? 9 does. And then we double check. 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. So I'm going to write x minus 3 times x plus 9 equals 0. Okay? So I have this. So then here, what do I have? I have two things being multiplied that equals 0. So I can use the zero product property. So I can say x minus 3 equals 0, or x plus 9 equals 0. Okay, and I'm going to stop there. Are you guys okay with the factoring, setting it equal to 0, doing zero product property? We okay with that? Okay, again, guys, I know this is different than a normal class, but the more we communicate, the better I can help you out, right? Because I have so many tools to help you out, but if you guys are all good, then I don't need to use them and waste your time. Okay, so I'm going to solve both of these. So this is x minus 3, so I'm going to go plus 3. Okay, I appreciate the people who are responding. You guys are definitely getting your money's worth in terms of education. So then here I have x plus 9. I'm going to subtract 9. And I get x equals negative 9. So I have two answers. I have negative 9 and positive 3. Okay, so I want to do one last check-in for the day. We just went over everything we have covered in Chapter 7 so far. So can you guys, is there anything that you want me to go over an example? We did 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.5. Oops, someone left. That was a bad idea. The end part is easy, but the beginning is really confusing. Yeah, I totally agree. This is the hardest part, isn't it? Okay? This little mini game, we're trying to figure it out. That's the part that struggles. But remember, you can, if you just keep trying and guessing, you can get it. Like the guess and check, right? Does this work? Does this work? Okay? The numbers that we're going to be using, I promise you, are going to be between 1 and 12. So if you try all the numbers between 1 and 12, you can do that. And just to show you really quickly on the graphing calculator, okay? So we wanted to get to 27, right? So I can go 27 divided by 2. Not a whole number, so that doesn't work. I can do, I can do 27 divided by 3. Okay, 9. So then right there, I would know that 9 times 3 equals 27, and that's a factor. Okay, so maybe that one didn't work. So I'd go 27 divided by 4, and what do I get? Nope, that's not going to work. What if I get 27 divided by 5? Okay, that didn't work. 27 divided by 6. Oops, that is not what I wanted. 27 divided by 6. Okay, that doesn't work. 27 divided by 7. That doesn't work. 27 divided by 8. That doesn't work. 27 divided by 9. 3. So then 9 times 3 works, right? 9 times 3 works. Okay? Now, so I guess what I'm trying to get at, you're like, crap, you're crazy. Why are we doing all this? Because if you get stuck here, can't you use the calculator and just guess and check until you get it? Right? Now, no one likes to just sit there typing numbers into a calculator, but it sure beats not being able to do it, right? So use the calculator to figure out what goes into 27. So does that help out? Because I know some people have said this is confusing. Did that help out a little bit, talking about that, how to use your calculator? Yeah, because that's a good strategy, because remember, you're going to be taking and doing your homework all from home, and nothing's really going to, there's going to be some loose time limits, but you have the time to really just test it out in your calculator and see how that works, okay? All right, so, and thank you for the comments, guys. Every time you send me comments, I can make class better for you. Do you guys need me to go back over anything else? Adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, getting to factored form, zero product property. Do you guys need me to go back and try any of those problems again? What do you need from me? Some of you are like, hey, I'm okay. So if no one says anything, then I'm going to assume that everyone is just like, hey, I'm at some level of confidence with this, and I know I can do it. Right? Even if it takes me a little bit, even if I make a few mistakes. Is that what you guys are saying? Okay, so this video, and I'm just going to